Hey, what is up guys? It's your boy Speed here, and today we're going to be talking about Carry Nature's Prophet. This is one of my favorite carry heroes in Dota right now, and it is my favorite Dota hero in the game. So I'm very excited to talk about how to make this hero into just one of the hardest carries in Dota. In fact, in this game, you're going to see an incredible team fight later on into the video where he kind of just stands his ground and kills everyone. In fact, that happens multiple fights in a row. I mean, at the end of the day, that is kind of what you have to do as Nature's Prophet. Later on into the fights, you sort of just gotta click them and hope you win the fight. But we're going to see how you can get the items and the build that Erica goes. It's a little bit off meta, actually. He doesn't go for your standard Maelstrom rush that a lot of players are going. He actually goes for a Witchblade build-up. We're going to talk about the impact of that in this game, how he uses it, what his playstyle is, and how he makes his hero look so damn good. Also, I want to quickly let you guys know that if you want to become even more broken, what you should do is go sign up to the GameLeap website. Currently, it is 50% off. So if you want to sign up, you're going to get exclusive content that I make over there where I'm going to talk about the pro games that I play in DPC Division 1. I'm going to do analysis for those games. I'm going to talk about patch content, go over all the new builds that you can try. Also, what I'm going to do for the website is I'm going to play games and experiment with these new builds, kind of analyze those games, do live game analysis over there as well. So if you're interested in that type of thing, use code RANK50. I'll repeat that, no spaces, RANK50 for 50% off. Use that when you're checking out. 50% off right now. Click the link down below and I'll see you guys there. All right, in terms of starting items, he goes for a very heavy stat build. He goes for an early stick, which, I mean, I honestly like it a lot because Nature's Prophet was recently nerfed, where his Nature's Call used to be 130 mana at level 1. Now it's just 150 flat. So basically, this ability is quite expensive at level 1, and therefore you can actually run out of mana. And you might be like, oh, that's only 20 mana more, but it does add up, and you can often not summon treants when you really need them. And so I do like this stick a lot. Also, this hero, just in terms of overall sustain, it's really nice to actually have this magical stick. In terms of your other items, yeah, you're just going to go for your basic regen. Even a lot of players don't actually go tangos. The other build you can go is Robe of Magi into 3 branches, and yeah, that's basically all you buy. So in terms of Nature's Call summons, what you want to do is summon right away at the beginning of the lane. In fact, you want to summon it 10 seconds before the rune spawns. Following that, you want to spawn again off cooldown, and then honestly, even here, I think you should have summoned again off cooldown. Essentially, you can use them literally as much as you can for the first few levels, and then the only time you hold them is what we'll see in a moment here. So right here at this point in the lane, honestly, I wouldn't mind seeing him use them, and the reason why is with this stick, he should have plenty of mana to use them throughout the lane. He can also TP back to base for mana. So I personally wouldn't have mind seeing him use another set. Personally, I would have, but he's waiting for his level 3 timing here. He feels like he'll get it early enough into the lane where it's going to enable him to have, you know, 1 extra treant that hits a little bit harder. Well, they all hit a little bit harder. So this is a very common trend where you're going to wait. Personally, once again, I don't necessarily recommend it. I recommend summoning off cooldown, especially if you're going to start Magic Stick in a lane like this. In terms of his early items, once again, Erica does go a little bit off the typical route. Generally, what people do is they go Magic Wand into Treads. Or if the lane is incredibly easy and they're against a lane that doesn't cast a lot of spells, maybe something like a Sand King, then you can just go Treads, right? Because you're not going to get pressured by the Sand King as long as you know what you're doing and you're not feeding treants too much, Caustic Finale, and you're beating them up, right? Then you can go the early Treads to put as much pressure as possible. However, in this lane, clearly he feels a little bit afraid of getting threatened, so he goes for Raindrops. Honestly, I'm not, once again, a huge fan of this. I feel like it's expensive and they can get burned really easily by DP. But I understand that he felt like he would get pressured pretty hard in this laning stage, which is generally true against a lane like this. And he's against the Doom who's mana burning him, so it's kind of nice to have the mana regen. So you might be wondering, when do you start jungling? Honestly, once you have 3 sets of treants, or 3 points in treants, you can jungle very easily. Also, when you have 2 sets of treants, because it's a 60-second duration and only a 37-second cooldown, so you can have 2 sets of treants going at the same time, then your hero rapidly jungles. And honestly, even pros, guys, I'm not gonna lie, like, I watch a lot of pros, and I actually think their treant summoning is quite bad, because they don't abuse the double timing of treants nearly enough to take towers, to pressure opponents, to jungle. It's really, really abusive how good it is to just summon treants off cooldown, and I think a lot of these players just often don't prioritize it enough. So it's something I would keep in mind for your games, especially if you're trying to kill someone, or if you're gonna go for a tower. And the reason why it's good when you're trying to kill someone, like let's say right here, right, these treants weren't about to run out, because theoretically you can have 23 seconds of 2 sets of treants. You can easily block and even surround the Death Prophet with treants. If he knew how to do it, you could literally surround the Death Prophet and treants and completely stop her from moving. And it's really easy to do that when you have, 10 treants, which you can literally have when you're 10 level 7. So it's really powerful, and I think people don't even think about this as a mechanic on Prophet that's abusable. Either way, basically you want to stay in your safe lane as long as humanly possible. The main goal once the laning stage progresses is generally to farm out your safe lane and wait for an opportunity to gank top. Now the reason why almost every single pro will try to gank top as Nature's Prophet at some point in the game is number one, your hero is incredibly gankable, so when you stay in the safe lane, you gotta be very careful about incoming mid ganks. Thankfully this game, he's against Sand King, who, could gank him, but it's unlikely, especially if he's maxing Sandstorm, which he will be. He has low points and stun. He's probably not gonna get ganked, but even on that note, you're gonna see his team is setting up a top gank, and he's clearly on the same page with them. And you might be like, oh, but my team would never do this in solo queue. I can't do this. It's just like, look for a mid fight or look for a top fight. Realistically, you want a top fight. The problem with a mid fight is if you TP into that, there's a good chance 5 heroes are going to be there on the enemy, and then you're a Nature's Prophet in between 5 heroes. That never ends well. I can tell you, it doesn't end well. However, these safe lane kills can often be a 4v3, a 4v2 in your favor, or something of the sort. And of course, with the 1 mana that he uses, he can now summon treants and take the tower. It's a very natural rotation using your ulti plus your treants to then take the tower. It's extremely effective, really enables you to get this tier 1 early into the game for your team, and even gives you an area to farm, because often your safe lane will become too dangerous to farm. So you have one of 2 options, either make this play happen, or literally just jungle, which is honestly not too bad as well. In fact, after that top play happened, because so many heroes on the enemy team actually TP top, he immediately goes to bottom, which I thought was a great decision from Erica this game. You really do not want to fight unless it's with your ulti and with treants. If you are missing one of the 2, I generally don't recommend TPing in. Sometimes it's of course okay, but generally, once again, I recommend you wait for the bolt. In fact, because of the TPs we saw to top side, he actually gets the majority of the tower here, which is really, really nice. However, after that, he's just gonna jungle. In fact, he's not even gonna try to take Ancients, which I agree with. Ancients are a little bit slow, especially if you get the bad Ancient camps, like the Thunderhide thingies or the Black Dragon. It's really difficult to kill, and so you're much better off just farming your woods. On Radiant or Dire, both are good, and then you can look to throw ultis in. Looks for a kill onto the Sand King there, doesn't get it, but he's just gonna clear through his jungle, summoning treants off cooldown, or, close to summoning them off cooldown. I wish he was a little bit better about it, to be honest. I feel like he's slightly inefficient. But either way, I really like his overall play. I don't understand this TP. I will not lie, guys. This is what I mean when I say almost never. Now, Dota's a game of exceptions. You guys know this, all right? Because I get in the comments, people will be like, oh, but Speed, once I TP'd into a mid-dive of the tier 3 as Nature's Prophet 8 minutes in with no ulti, and I got a rampage. So clearly you're stupid and you should be 2k and you're probably boosted. But the thing is, more often than not, what these TPs look like, no treants, no ulti, right? What happens is you TP in, you do minimal amounts of damage, right? You hit for like 0, and then you die. Now, to be fair, they used Epi and Doom on him, so you could say that's worth it. And to some extent, I will give, some of the benefit of the doubt to the haters here. Yes, he did bait a lot of spells, and yes, I think it does lead to a Sand King kill. So you know what? Some respect there, and once again, Dota's a game of exceptions. Things can work out that usually don't work out. And so I would just say be careful of those plays. If you are going to TP in, please at least make sure you have a numbers advantage. Honestly, that's probably the most important thing the majority of the time. So the next item we're going to go is Maelstrom, and he actually went Witchblade into Maelstrom, which kind of signals to me that he wanted to get very active with his team, because the best farming item is Maelstrom, hands down. It's the fastest farming item you could buy. So most games, I definitely recommend just going Treads Maelstrom and jungling until you have a BKB, honestly. Like, obviously, once again, you can show up the fights if there's a numbers advantage, but that's hard to do. So just try to really pinpoint fights where the enemy team is diving and you have ulti up. That's usually going to be your best bet. Either way, the reason why Witchblade Maelstrom is a very nice build that I actually do like as well, and I've gone before multiple times, is the attack speed from the Witchblade works incredibly well with the Maelstrom. It's a very, very high DPS build. In fact, I think this is like nearly the highest DPS build you can go on a hero like Nature's Prophet or on Nature's Prophet in the early game. The only problem with it is, well, one of two things. He doesn't buy a shard this game, which is actually quite crazy. If you don't know what Prophet Shard is, it's a greater treants, right? And those things are insane. You could just sprout on the ground and it makes these treants that help you farm. They help clear side lanes, they take towers, they block people in when you sprout them. And so I will say the only time I think you can even consider skipping it is if you go Witchblade. Now you might be like, why is that? Why would Witchblade cause me to not have to go greater treants, or why would it allow me to skip them potentially? Because at least in teamfights when you sprout someone, if you hit them with Witchblade, the slow will allow you to hit them 3-4 extra times. That's obviously a ton. And so yeah, basically if you don't buy Witchblade and you don't buy Shard, people are just gonna buy Quelling Blade and walk out of your sprout, and you're not gonna be able to chase them down and hit them enough. With the Witchblade, it kind of solves that problem, so he prioritizes a faster BKB timing, kind of. Obviously, the Witchblade sort of slows it down to some extent, but either way, let's continue on. One thing to keep in mind is that as Nature's Prophet, it's your job to shove the side lanes, to keep it really simple. And the main reason why is if you never bait rotations to the side lanes, it's going to be very hard to teamfight. And it's simple to understand. If you don't bait rotations, your hero, you're basically picking a carry hero that isn't inherently strong at clicking people, right? You're picking a hero that its main advantage is to split the map. If you don't split up the enemy in between fights, right? You don't send greater treants or treants down side lanes, and you don't clear side lanes, your hero is just not that good. I really do believe that. And so even this game, I was a little bit confused by his lack of greater treants. He does end up buying it after the BKB, so clearly he does value it to some extent, and I would recommend most games just buying it after your Maelstrom. I think it's kind of the best way to go. It's an incredible amount of tower damage. Literally 2 greater treants can do like a third of a tier 2, almost alone. Not if they're tanking it, of course, but you get the point. So, and one cool little play from Erica here, before we're gonna get into the major team fights where he pops off, is this bottom TP. So they show a Sand King mid, and with no hesitation, he gets to the bottom side of the map. He believes that all of PSG LGD is on the top side of the map, and he completely shoves it in. Gets 2 waves out, predicts that they're going to now TP to kill him, which, by the way, they were. The Doom was actually Giga hunting him in the trees, so was the Sand King, just completely hunting for this guy. So a really nice job from America to actually bring heroes to the bottom side of the map, which allows them to then take the top tower. Look how freaking good that was. Beautiful rotation from America, honestly. Putting PSG LGD in the absolute dumpster there. Really, I mean, just a beautiful rotation, beautiful understanding of how much time he has from PSG LGD rotating from mid to the bottom side to try to catch him. Gets out just in time, and then gets the top tower. And after shoving out bottom for the millionth time in a row, and then clearing out the Ancients, he's now going to get an incredibly good timing on his Satanic. You can see at minute 32 here, he has 4 items completed, BKB, Mjolnir, Witchblade, and now the Satanic, as well as an Aegis, and that is honestly go time. This is probably the main time you're going to have to actually be able to team fight, because without Satanic, it's very hard to man up. Without BKB, you're basically useless in team fights the majority of the time. Without Mjolnir, you don't really hit that hard. And so this is honestly your main timing to really start to pop off. On top of that, if you can look for a Roche, your hero is very good at Roshing. So of course, keep that in mind. You'll see this fight, he actually has Aegis, which is obviously very good on a hero like Prophet, who dies pretty easily. On top of that, his talent choice is very weird this game. He went for Nature's Call at level 10, which is wild. Almost no one takes this. He did, so clearly he values the ability to farm with them and push in the waves with them. I'm personally a big fan of taking both of the Treant's talents at 10 and 15, even as carry. I think they're wildly underrated, especially in games where the enemy has a hard time killing them, which this game isn't the case, so I wouldn't have mind seeing him take the other talents, but either way, let's get into the upcoming fight. So his team's going to smoke up here, and with his Aegis, he's going to look to hit the mid tower. He currently has 40 seconds on his Aegis remaining, so he wants to go in, and he ends up getting hooked. In a pretty interesting decision, he actually decides to pop his BKB and gets his Mjolnir shield off, which he had active before, but he gets off his BKB and Satanic, clearly trying to preserve his first life. And I think the main reason why he does this is him staying alive here, even though he has Aegis, allows him to actually pump out damage on the overextending PSG LGD. That allows him to take out the Sand King during the toss duration, and following up on that, he's able to actually just chunk down this Pudge over time. You're going to notice that Prophet doesn't really do some wild amount of damage, but basically, if you can farm enough, you can get so far ahead where on the satanic timing, you just have so many Mjolnir procs going out that slowly but surely you'd chip down the enemy team. Also, your Witchblade does a ton of damage due to your high end, and eventually they win the fight. So just a beautiful fight from Erica. Turns out he didn't even need his Aegis there, kind of. They probably would have like doomed him or committed harder on him if he didn't have an Aegis, to be fair. But either way, really nice team fight, and you can see the key to Prophet is item timings. You can't fight your way to victory on Prophet. Obviously, you can in very specific games, but once again, let's not talk about the outliers. Let's talk about what generally works, and that is farming. Take a look at the CS charts. The only hero that's even relatively close to him is a Carry Pudge. And if you know anything about Carry Pudge, my god, Carry Pudge farms freaking fast. But he's still above the wildly fast farming Pudge that also had actually an incredibly good game. And on the note of just manning up, at some point in the game, frankly, all your hero can do is man up. And yeah, just don't panic. Make sure you use your Mjolnir shield. A lot of people forget to use it. Guys, this thing's pretty OP. If you don't know what it does, it gives an active where basically when the enemy attacks, you, whoever you put it on, it can be on yourself, teammates, creeps, whatever it is. Basically, it gives a 20% chance to do 200 magical damage. That's crazy. 20% chance to do 200 magical damage. So if someone's getting ripped into by a high attack speed hero, it's just gonna proc. If it procs 5 times, it's doing 1,000 magical damage. Please don't forget to use it. So many people buy this item and they don't use it, and it just makes me want to cry. It's so sad. It's so sad. Make sure you use it. As we'll see here in this clip, this is the power of the Satanic we're gonna see come into play, easily dispelling some of the attack speed slows he had on him, or the Wyvern Q, I mean, and just rips them to shreds. Good control from his teammates. I also love the draft from Vici here. They have a nice balance of stuns. Generally, when you pick Prophet Carry, it's really nice to have a hero like Wind Ranger and Tiny on your team because your hero gets guided, so kind of just want to be able to man up. Unfortunately, it does end up going down here. The Pudge just kind of runs him down with the Rot, but it ends up being a really nice fight. He also ends up buying back, understanding that the Pudge is actually the only hero alive on LGD, and they take him out. But alright, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Hopefully you learned a lot, and the main thing I want you to take out of this video is please split the map, split the map, split the map. When you split the map and you shove in 2 creep waves, go back to your triangle, go back to your woods, clear through, and rinse repeat until you're obscenely farmed. Play around your item timings. When you TP in, there's not really a lot of outplays you can make. There's some, but not really. For the most part, you just need to be farmed enough where you can kill them. If you're dying when you TP in, you're probably either TPing in way too deep or you're not farmed enough. Alright, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one, and I'm out.
And that's all, but remember, before you leave, come on, before you tune out, subscribe to the GameLeap website where we are going to help you get to the next rank. If you're stuck, click the link down below, and I'm out. Peace.